What is your opinion on dog fighting?
Personally, I'm against it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see a point in it. I don't see the upside for the dog.
So they're not thinking about the dog's perspective at all when they do it. It's just about humans, I
Not
suppose.
so much.
What would you define as animal cruelty then, to you?
Unnecessary,
Okay.
sort of sport for pleasure.
Sure. Things for pleasure that we don't need, that are necessary, you'd say is
Sure.
cruel. Why is it wrong to do dog fighting?
It's pleasure. It's not for the pleasure of the animal, really.
So would you agree that an act can't be made any more moral if we get pleasure from doing it?
No.
An act.
An act, because what is the act?
Any act that we see as immoral,
Yeah.
if someone said to you, but I get pleasure from it, you'd say that's irrelevant.
Not necessarily.
So if I went and slapped someone now and you said, what the
Yeah.
fuck are you doing? And I said, if I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
That would be wrong.
So if we expand that further to, say, farmed animals, so pigs, chickens and cows, what's your opinion on sort of the morality of killing them for food? Would you say that's cruel, or do you have a different opinion on that?
I'd probably say no comment, because that's just opening a whole hornet's nest for me. I respect people's opinions on it. That's fine. I've got my own opinion that I can't really be bothered to get into.
Yeah, because of course you define animal cruelty as, say, an example would be unnecessarily harming animals. So in terms of eating animals for food, do you think we need to? Is there a necessity, or is it unnecessary?
I eat animals for food, yeah, so take from that what you will. I know that some of the methods people use are less than, sort of humane, but then at the same time, I do think people need to be fed. So, of course.
But do you think we need to survive or be healthy? Is it for necessity that we do it, or is it another reason?
I don't know, man. You're really asking me some questions.
It's a
here.
difficult. It's a difficult one, I know. Yeah.
I don't know. We've evolved this way, so I guess I let nature answer that question rather than who the hell am I to put my tuck me bit in.
Yeah. I mean, we've evolved to do it. It's definitely something we can do. We can digest cooked meat. But do you think just because we can do something, does that make it moral to do so?
Well, then you've got to question the manner in which you're doing it, I guess.
Okay.
So that would all need to be defined to have a proper answer on that, because
Sure.
otherwise...
So if we imagine an animal that's had a great life, then not factory farmed, we'll say
and then we eat the bugger at the end.
would that still be
Is that
moral?
what you're saying?
Yeah. Would that be moral if that was
Trying
happening?
to tell me to eat a pet dog?
Well, yeah. Pet dogs have wonderful lives, right? Do you think it would be moral to kill them if they were happy first, or is it still wrong?
I don't know. I think that's a bit of a weird question too. I couldn't possibly give you an answer on that.
What do you think is the difference between a human and, say, between a pig? What's the trait difference that makes it acceptable to hurt the pig and unacceptable to hurt the human?
You can talk to a human and they'll talk back, and you can see the personality and
I suppose some humans can't communicate with us in some horrible circumstances. Would you say it becomes any more morally acceptable to harm them if they can't communicate with us?
no.
I think you say it's worse to harm.
Yeah, they're more vulnerable, I suppose.
Most people would say that, even though if you were playing level playing field, it should be the same for everybody. But I think you'd say if someone's more vulnerable, it's worse to hurt them because you're preying on that vulnerability.
Do you think animals are vulnerable to us?
All those thousands of pigs and chickens that sit in farms, they haven't got any defences against us, really. It's yeah, of course they're vulnerable.
So how do you think we morally justify the behaviour of killing them?
I don't think if a lot of people, when they actually look at the facts, would say it's justifiable, because it's not. It's not.
You wouldn't
to
go
a
out
lot.
and kill your own food. Like
A lot of
most
people
of us
wouldn't,
couldn't
no.
do that.
Right.
Physically couldn't do it.
But
And also, we'd be there and you're like, well, hang on a minute, what am I doing?
I think the fact of the matter is it moral? Probably not. Is it socially accepted? Yeah.
I mean, because you're mentioning we have to look at how it's done.
Yeah.
So what would be your sort of
I think
example?
it is on the side of reducing the amount of suffering and things like that.
with any other moral issue, we'd say it's always wrong regardless of how we do it.
Yeah.
So I guess the difficult question is there a humane way to kill an animal that doesn't want to die?
I don't know, you'd have to ask the guys who do it, or who go around killing animals. I mean, it's one of those things. I eat meat, so yeah. But also, if I was in a situation, I do wonder, like, if it was a survival situation. So I've had friends who've done military training, you know, where they've got to go off and do survival courses, like catch animals, kill them. And I had one friend who was a great animal lover, and he had a bit of trouble with it, but he had to do it because it was part of the survival course. And so,
I suppose things can be justified in survival that we wouldn't find acceptable when it's not in that survival situation. Would you agree?
I don't know, I've kind of made my bed and I'm on the meat eater side here, so anything I say on from that might sound like hypocrisy. So
Can you think of anything else that's been like a social norm and just completely normal in society that maybe hasn't been moral in the past of our history? Yeah. So would you agree the fact that it's normal doesn't necessarily mean we should be doing it?
Oh yeah, completely.
As you mentioned before, like you're saying, when people go hunting and they need to, that's quite a big difference there. So would you agree that when we do it here ourselves, would you say it's unnecessary?
Yeah.
Well, we have the
yeah,
means
of
to
course
live
it-
without it. Yeah, and we have the knowledge to.
So
Yeah.
if we don't need to do this to survive or be healthy, what reason do we have to do it?
I think to live as a vegetarian is far more expensive than it is to live as a meat eater.
If we think about the cheapest food on the planet, you know, the rice, beans, lentils, what some of the poorest people on the planet eat, that's cheaper than like meat, isn't it? Chicken breast and stuff.
Yeah.
Say 30p a tin of kidney beans or black beans or something. Would you say that, you know, we could all afford that? If I was going to hurt an animal here, let's say, for example, if it was a dog, if I was going to hurt an animal, say I was going to stab the animal for food, would you try and stop me doing it?
it's illegal, isn't it?
Yes, it would be illegal. Yeah.
And even if it wasn't legal, I don't think that would match all the other criteria we just spoke about. And that's a wonderful example of what's unnecessary.
Would it be immoral?
Are you going to try this out or something?
You're
You
being
keep
a
coming
dog
back
to
round
the
to this point.
Yeah, would it?
Don't kill a dog. No.
It's
just-
immoral.
Huh?
It's immoral.
It's just a bad thing to do, man.
Sure.
So if that puts me on that side of the fence as you mean it, then yeah.
Yeah.
You can't always judge people by your own standards.
No, definitely.
Just because you wouldn't kill a dog in a park doesn't mean some guy might not come up to you, sit down with a microphone and start asking you if you should do it or not. Yeah, but not find you on the news.
Yeah, but of course, asking questions it's not an issue, moral issue, is it?
Correct, but it's like where do you
It's people
where
do
do you
for
put your
convenience.
efforts? People have only got so much kind of
But
energy
I suppose you could do everything you normally do, you know, for humans, for whatever other issues you care about,
Yeah.
and just 3 times a day, just not contribute to animal suffering by choosing the vegan option.
I mean, you came over to talk about dogfighting, yeah? And then we got onto food. I think they're two different discussions. Because you're talking about people for sport, right? People are talking about nourishment, survival, and the fact we've done it for 1,000 years. Look at the teeth we've got.
For me, it's not a question of like, you know, looking after animals. It's a question of violence, really. And like, if you can avoid violence, it should always be avoided.
So in that sense, then, would you say that a vegan lifestyle, would that be more in line with your own morals?
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah.
And would you say that sort of paying animals to be harmed, is that kind of contradict that behaviour? Is it contradicting your own morals and values?
Is buying meat and animal produce against my morals?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be.
Yeah.
Of course. We're talking about for sport. Sport's a choice, isn't it?
Right. Is the food we eat a choice?
Well, I wasn't making that point. My point was that food, you have to eat food, right? We agree on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I suppose
But do we need
I make the choice to eat meat,
Yeah.
but other
Yeah.
people make the choice to be vegan or plant-based or pescatarian or whatever they want to be.
Sure.
Would
you agree that killing and eating an animal is unnecessary, just like a dog fight is unnecessary? Would you say they're both unnecessary? We don't need to.
Well, I eat meat, so it's necessary to me.
But
Then it goes back to the question you posed about how it's done.
But is it a necessity, or is it because you want to? Do you need to?
The way I've been brought up, yeah, that's part of my diet.
Yeah.
I require my diet, therefore that would be termed as a necessity, I guess.
Yeah. Your diet's a necessity, but perhaps wouldn't you agree that eating an animal
It's
is a
possible
necessity?
to survive on
Sure.
without. Right.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. So you'd agree it's
You
unnecessary?
can survive solely on meat, I'm sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't have to choose to eat plants, but
Yeah.
who's going to do that? I don't know.
Yeah. I know,
I feel like
I
we're
know.
going around in a circle
Yeah.
here.
But you'd agree they're both unnecessary. And you suggested that unnecessarily harming an animal, so dogfighting is wrong because it's unnecessary. So by that logic, wouldn't you say killing an animal for food, if we could eat, say, plants, would that not be animal cruelty?
Well, if you paint me into that corner, then yeah, of course the logical answer is yes. Okay, is that what we were looking for?
If you understand that there's suffering there, is there a moral obligation not to directly cause it?
Oh yeah, completely. You have an obligation to be passive and not engage in it.
Sure.
You don't. Well, it's tricky to say you have a moral obligation to
actively
actively
still
oppose.
going on.
Yeah.
If it's
But I suppose you're not contributing.
You're not going to contribute to the meat industry.
Yeah, but you could just say, I'm not going to contribute, but it's still going on. So you're ignoring it. There's passive, and then there's passive.
Sure, but I suppose you could say, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, because I suppose being vegan would be not hurting animals, but animals could still be getting hurt.
Exactly.
So, for example,
Yeah,
I don't need to beat. Let's say I don't beat a dog myself, but I see someone else beating a dog.
Yeah.
I sort of choose whether I sort of step in and try and stop it.
Philosophical question as to whether you're responsible for the actions of others. It is a major
I
historic-
suppose we can all agree on the baseline of we're responsible for our own actions.
Yeah, completely.
Correct.
Of course.
Yeah.
But if you're saying, okay, well, I'm not going to do it, then why aren't you saying, like we are here, that the other person shouldn't do it? So you have to say it.
Yeah,
Because otherwise someone else is just going to keep doing it.
Of course, I suppose that would kind of come in the form of educating others.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's kind of what we're trying to do here, is just have those conversations with other people to try and encourage them to sort of see it for what it is, maybe. But anyway, I'll leave it there, guys. That was really interesting. I just don't want to take up your entire day. If I was to give you like a YouTube video to watch, would you consider watching it?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Thanks very much, guys.